Hello, beautiful roses. It's Vervain. Good morning. Welcome to the Citrine Palace as usual. Today I'm going to try and get through this pretty quickly because I think my friend Erica is actually coming over in like half an hour, and usually I have trouble even editing my videos down to half an hour, but I really want to see if I can unbox this and kind of figure out what's going on in this deck and show you guys a little bit about what this deck is, because I don't really know a whole lot about what this deck is. I know that there's like it comes with a map of some kind, and that it's like its own system. But this is the Camelot Oracle, and I picked this up at Half Price Books a while back for like not much money. It says $18.95 right here, but there's no way that's what I paid for it. I think I paid like $8 or $9. And I'm just gonna get right into this. I'm gonna try not to damage it. I know I've been doing a lot of unboxings lately. It's just like, I actually like these videos, and I've had a lot of stuff either around that I've been like waiting to do unboxing videos with. Okay, let's open this up. Camelot Oracle by John Matthews and Will Worthington. A quest for wisdom through the Arthurian world. It says John Matthews with illustrations by Will Worthington. And again, that's the cover. We've got nice box. Ooh. We've got what looks to be the Lady of the Lake here on the cover of the book. And I don't know who that is on the back. I guess we'll probably find out. I'm not actually like that familiar with Arthurian legend and Camelot. I got this. I bought it for my friend Brooke. She had me read The Mists of Avalon and like Her Gardens Avalon, and like I knew I had to get it for her, and I was like, no, I don't need it for me. And then I got home and I was like looking at the box and reading reviews of it, and I was like, I need to see what this thing's about if it's only like $8. And I went back and I got myself a copy. So, okay, let's just see what this is. I'm assuming there'll be something in here that tells you how to use this. Part 5, Working with the Camelot Oracle. This is a nice book. It's monochrome. It's all like this blue-gray, dark blue-gray color. It's really pretty. How to read the cards. To make a reading, first have your question ready. Think about this carefully before entering the lands adventurous. The simpler the question, the more direct the answer you will receive. Avoid yes, no, and either or questions, as these tend to muddy the waters and give you indecisive answers. Questions beginning with should I mean you have abandoned responsibility for your actions and handed them over to the oracle. Yeah, absolutely. Thus, instead of asking, for example, should I move in with Mike, it would be better to ask, what qualities does Mike have that would make him an ideal partner? Okay, I don't feel like that's a good question, but maybe I just misunderstand the deck. I feel like if you just say, what qualities does Mike have that would make him an ideal partner, and that's your replacement for the question, should I move in with Mike, you're not allowing the cards any room to speak on what might make him not an ideal partner. But that's just my opinion. And then they say some good formats are, what is the likely consequence if? Please show me how I might. Please guide me. Please help me to see clearly. Please help me to move blank forward. All of these will help you to get clear answers. Once you're certain of the question you'd like to ask, spread out the map of the lands adventurous in front of you. You see all that? Spread out the map of the lands adventurous in front of you and sit with the cards in your hands for a time, keeping your question in your thoughts. We'll take a look at some of the cards first anyway. This first one, Amangons, I don't even know if I'm saying that right. Okay, Arthur, so he's on the cover. Elaine of Carbonac, Galahad, Gawain, oh, Guinevere, beautiful. Igraine, okay, so that's who that is on the back. And yes, the Lady of the Lake was on the front. Okay. Lots of characters. You're still going through characters. I'll show you more Ghana. My door just flew open. You know how I always say, I like to let the wind in if the wind wants to come in. We did have to do a friendly wasp removal though the other day, so I don't know if I can leave it open. Also, there's no way we're gonna finish this in 30 minutes. Questing Beast, okay. This is an interesting card. I'm not familiar with this character. Ragnall, Whiteheart. Did I just miss Merlin? Oh, yeah, I did. That's Merlin. Oh! Okay, and then there's these cards that I guess are the path cards, I think. Alright, okay. So let's get back to this book. Separate the deck into archetype cards and path cards. We did that. Shuffle each set and lay the 2 piles of cards face down. Okay, we'll do that. Okay, that's the path cards. The wind just wants to be in my videos. And that's fine. I mean, it's the wind beneath my wings, so how could I say no, right? Also, it's what they call cedar season here, which what they mean by that is it's juniper pollen season. I don't really know why Texans call juniper cedar, but they do. And it's that time of year. And I did not have any allergies as a child or as a young adult. And I had lived in Texas for about 6 years with no allergies. And my manager at my job at the time, or my assistant manager, said, I overheard her saying to someone else, yeah, you live in Texas about 6 years and you get cedar allergies. And I thought to myself, well, I've lived in Texas about 6 years. I don't have allergies yet. And that season, I got allergies. Just like, I started having them, and it's been worse and worse. Well, maybe not like, I don't know if, yeah, it's basically been worse and worse since then, but it's only been like 2 years since then. I've only been in Texas about 8 years now. But man, it's true. You develop the allergy living here, and now I'm all congested. That's what I'm saying. That's why I sound congested, is because it's cedar season. Okay, and we'll cut those, and now I feel good about, yeah, okay, now I feel good about that. Oh, I don't have my question yet. Fuck. I'm just like, see, I'm just like, oh, let's do an oracle. Okay, here's my question. How can I, because here, today I took off morning ritual today. I didn't do morning ritual today because I set my alarm for 8 and I woke up at 8 and I like sent some Instagram messages and I cuddled with Sean, and then the next thing I knew I was getting a text from Ella at like 11:27 and I was like, well, there goes the morning. I don't know what I was doing, because like I thought I felt pretty good at 8 o'clock, but then again, like, I've had this rest card from the moon deck on my nightstand since I got the moon deck, and I haven't been doing that ritual that I was going to do. I have been doing morning ritual with you guys every single day, and I've also been getting these cards telling me to slow down. And like in morning ritual, we've been getting these cards telling us to slow down and pause. And I'm like, do morning ritual every day, make videos every day, write blog posts, write poems, post to Instagram 3 times a day. Like, these are things that I want to do. But if I force myself to do all of these things every day, and I work at Starbucks, like, there's no way I can do all that and go back to college. And, you know, I don't know. We're working on these things. And that's my question. That's my question for the cards, is how can I balance this? You know, how can I balance the need to go slowly and take care of myself with the need to essentially produce content to actually be able to connect with you guys, because that is the the best way that I've found to connect with you guys is when I produce content that really comes from deeper inside me, where I really get time to talk about the things that I'm really thinking about and really feeling. Then you guys actually get a chance to respond to that in kind. And because I can offer you something a little longer form that goes a little deeper into my own experience, you can tap into that more easily and share your own experiences with me. And that's what I found, is that, you know, when I produce this content, I get the kind of community that I'm really wanting, which is a community that's alive and engaged and like having these conversations with me. And I want that, but I also want to slow down. And so how can I balance that? Cards. And I guess I was kind of thinking that, and these, the archetype cards, no, I should just shuffle them again. I should have been holding the cards while I did that, but they were listening. They bore witness. Okay, that feels good. And let's shuffle these path cards again. Okay, maybe we'll pick these by fanning, because there's so few of them. I just don't trust shuffling to do the job. With your question in mind, draw one of the path cards. This shows the direction in which you'll be traveling from Camelot. So let's look at this map again. So on this map, we've got Camelot here in the center, and then we've got all these paths around Camelot that go to these other places. Okay, so with your question or issue in mind, draw one of the path cards. This shows the direction in which you'll be traveling from Camelot. For example, if you draw the Resolute path, which is this one here, I don't know if you can see that, the Resolute path, this tells you that your way lies towards Avalon. Put this card to one side. I'm going to pick this one. The Honored path, this one over here that goes towards this place called Saracen, I guess. I don't know how to pronounce that. I've never heard of it before. I lay the card to the side because that's what they said to do. Now, choose one of the archetype cards. You can either do this randomly or by selecting a character you feel drawn to. You may find that allowing the deck to make a random choice gives you a clearer reading, but the choice is always yours. The character on your selected card is your champion who will accompany you on your journey. So I almost feel like what I want to do is like draw 2 or 3 randomly and then choose one from those 3. Include the council of the cards and the power of my own choice. So that's what I'm going to do. And it says, the character on your selected card is your champion who will accompany you on your journey. Okay. That one. And I guess that one. And I think this one also. That's so funny. The first one I picked was the very first one in the deck, Amangons. The second one is Ragnall, which reminds me of Hela, just the imagery. And the third one is Lynette. And this is actually interesting because just the imagery alone here reminds me of Odin, Hela, and Freya, which are like 3 of my main guides. And so seeing that, I almost don't want to choose. I'm going to read in the book about these cards and see what goes on. Because I've been reading over some American Gods material this morning, and I've been like really thinking about what it means to be dedicated to a god, to be somebody who really believes in honesty and the power of honesty and the truth, and also to be dedicated to a god who is like, so many of his names even relate to his power of deceit and disguise, and and of having many faces and many names, and you know, and of working ill, and Hela is the two sides of the coin, life and death. And I laid them down this way, with the dark man on the death side and the light woman on the life side. And I know they're all necessary. Things to think about. This is already getting deep, guys. Amangons, aspect, power hungry. Qualities, negativity, greed, destructiveness, power, insecurity, deceit. What the shit, man? Amangons is a dark and powerful king said to rule over a kingdom called Granland sometime before Arthur. He sought the Grail for his own ends in order to gain greater power. He stole a golden cup guarded by the maidens of the wells and allowed his men to rape the maidens. The children born from this terrible event became wanderers in the lands adventurous. They were discovered and restored to the world by Arthur's knights and subsequently became guardians of the Grail. The storyteller who first related this tale, a man named Bleharis, claimed that the story contained keys to the secrets of the Grail. Amangons himself vanished into the heart of the wildwood, from where he challenges all who approach him to acknowledge the negative aspects that can attend even the most inspired journey. He is one of several anti-Grail kings, including the even darker Klingzor, a black magician who sought the Grail to enhance his power, to the point of having himself castrated in order to emulate the Virgin Knight Galahad. Another is Garlon, who terrorized the Forest of Adventure by riding under a cloak of invisibility and inadvertently... broom just fell. A tiny broom. Inadvertently caused the dolorous blow which wounded the Grail Guardian. It is possible that Amangons was the original of such negative archetypes. In the context of the Oracle, Amangons can be seen to represent the negative energies that we all encounter at some time in our lives, but which can, despite their dark aspect, represent a more positive force when encountered head-on and used as a sounding board for the exploration of our deeper fears. Amangons as champion. Though my way is often dark, I will guide you to find the light within your own darkness. No person is without negative thoughts, and these may hinder you on your journey. Where better to turn than to one who has known the torments of desire and sought power by any means? If there is any aspect of this within you, it should be uncovered, faced, and transcended, else you cannot progress, and your journey will turn aside into paths motivated by greed and the desire for personal gratification. I can accompany you into the heart of the lands adventurous and open the door to other ways and other destinies. I really feel that ringing true. There's things that Amangons here has done that, like, I don't know how to forgive. There's also things that Odin has done in tales that I don't really know how to forgive. There are also things that I have done in the past to people that I love that I don't know how to forgive. And yesterday on Morning Ritual, we drew these cards about our own unique lens of the world, or our own unique perception of the world, and how we can only really ever know ourselves, but, like, there's enough evil in ourselves that, like, that's maybe why our love has to be limitless, because for us to believe in a greater, more beautiful possibility for us in this world, we have to believe that we're worthy of it, and therefore we have to forgive the evil within us and the mistakes that it makes. And Jordan Peterson talks about this in the Maps of Meaning course that I'm watching, and in his biblical series, which I'm up to date on currently. About how, you know, if you don't know the darkness in yourself, that's when you're most prone to be spewing it all over the place blindly. And if you do know the darkness in yourself, and you also know that that's not what you want for yourself and for the world around you, then you can come at trying to understand the darkness within others from a place of actual understanding. Yeah, I was reading through all these American Gods quotes this morning. That's what I do sometimes if I want to reread a book, but I don't have time to reread the book. I just read quotes from the book or whatever. And there was this quote that was talking about how, you know, no war has ever been fought except between two sides that were absolutely 100% certain that they were correct, that they were right, and that they were doing the right thing. You know, no one goes to war that thinks they might be wrong. You know, they specifically go into talking about, you know, there's this man who loves his family and wants to be good at his job and cares about his country, and he goes to work every day, and because he cares about his country and he cares about doing a good job and he cares about being a good person, he feels bad that he still regrets sending all these Jewish children to their deaths every day, because he feels like if he were really good at his job, then he wouldn't have those feelings. And you have to realize that as heart-wrenching as that is, from this perspective, and as terrifying as it is to put yourself in the shoes of somebody who would think that way and feel that way, people who thought they were doing the right thing did that. And so if you can't see within yourself the capacity to blindly do evil, then how can you possibly be prepared to prevent yourself from doing it? Okay, well, that's that lesson. Okay, let's move on to Ragnar. I meant this to be like a deck unboxing. I hope you're getting that out of this too. I didn't really mean this to be like a delving into the deepest, darkest parts of our souls type of video, but here we are. And like this beautiful symbol sent from the modern world, we have the garbage man come here to take away our waste, the trash and dead things we no longer need. And also my lovely friend Erica here to spend some time with me. So I'm gonna have to finish this later. I love you guys. Mwah. Wow, I just had such good hangouts with Erica, who was here for the last like 3.5 hours. It was great. We poured tea. We talked about Demeter and Guan Yin and Juno and sisterhood and painting and cards and lots of good things that we will continue to talk about on this channel and elsewhere. But I am gonna keep delving into this deck with you guys, and I'm like, I'm like right there in between super enthusiastic about it and like mildly terrified, because I feel like we went pretty deep with that Amongon's stuff. So, I'm gonna look up this second card, Ragnar, and I realize this is a little different from what the book is telling us to do, but we're just gonna work through this together and see how it goes, and hopefully by the end of this, you'll have a good idea of whether or not this deck might be useful for you, and also you'll have, like, seen my entire soul spilled out on the floor. So, here we go. Ragnar, aspect, perception. Qualities, honesty, clarity, recognition, understanding. And that's also, like, it's crazy how well these are lining up with my understanding of the 3 deities that I mentioned, Odin, Hela, and Freya. because, like, that wasn't exactly my thought process when I was drawing these, but, you know, that's where we are. And my relationship with Hela has always been that she just wants you to acknowledge both sides of every coin, and she just wants me to acknowledge that I always have a choice with what I express and with what path I take, and that, you know, to acknowledge everything that's real before making a choice and moving forward, rather than, like, abdicating responsibility, rather than saying, like, I don't have, you know, this is all that I can do, and so this is what I have to accept. It's like, well, maybe you have more than one option, maybe that needs to be recognized. And also, you know, just like, we can't just worship the light and the goodness. We have to have some sort of relationship, whether it's acknowledgement or goes beyond that, with the darkness within us. And, like, I think it has to go a little bit beyond acknowledgement to be healthy. I don't mean, like, you need to live out your darkness, but I mean, like, maybe you need to find ways to address your darkness so that it's not messing, you know, so that its needs are fulfilled and it's not messing with your big important plans where things actually matter. Anyhow, honesty, clarity, recognition, understanding. Ragnall is sister to the otherworldly knight Gromer Somer Jur. Gromer Somer Jur. I have no idea. Gromer Somer Jur. I don't know. Enchanted into the shape of an ugly hag, she comes to the rescue of Arthur, who strives to find an answer to Gromer's riddle. What is it women most desire? She agrees to tell him the answer in return for her marriage to Gawain. Arthur trustfully accepts on Gawain's behalf. Gromer arrives and poses the question once more, and Arthur relates the answer. Women desire to have sovereignty over men. Gawain and Ragnall are wed, and at their first kiss, she is transformed into a beautiful maiden. However, Gawain is asked to decide whether she shall be fair by day and foul by night, or the reverse. Fully realizing the meaning of the riddle, Gawain begs her to choose, and Ragnall is forever disenchanted. Ragnall carries with her the deepest levels of the Arthurian mysteries and can teach us much about human nature and our behavior towards those who seem to be outsiders. And then Ragnall as champion. Ragnall carries with her the deepest levels of the Arthurian mysteries and can teach us much about human nature and our behavior towards those who seem to be outsiders. So I have actually read or heard Ragnall's story before, although I didn't remember her name. And I couldn't have told you that story off the top of my head, although I remember it. I recall it now. Here, reading it here. But this is very interesting to me about the choice thing. Well, one, because I just talked about that, but also because there's, I've been working with the goddess Hela for a long time, but I've really only received very few, like, transmissions or, like, pieces of wisdom from her. She's very quiet. She doesn't speak a whole lot to me. She more just, like, looks at me like, you should fucking know this already. But one of the few times that she's ever actually spoken to me, what she said was basically, like, Odin is telling you to do what he did and sacrifice yourself to him. But what I will tell you, and this was Hela speaking, basically, was that you should do what Odin did and sacrifice yourself to yourself. And so this whole thing about sovereignty, I think is really important. I also don't necessarily think it's true that sovereignty has to be expressed as power over others, although it makes sense that in a world where male power has been expressed as power over others, the power that women would want would be power over others. Ragnall as champion. I will always find a way to help you judge how best to react to your situation. I know both sides of the coin, and understanding that things reflected in the mirror are not always as they seem. As your champion, I will guide your steps surely and with determination, showing you the paths that wind between the high road and the low. My magic can show you the truth in even the darkest and most negative situations. Listen well to my words, for in most instances I will say them only once. I continue to be really amazed at how well this is lining up with my understanding of Hela and who she is and how she guides me and like what wisdom it is that she has to offer on my path. So maybe you'll find that interesting too. And the third archetype that we have to look up is either Lynette or Linnae. I'm assuming, I'm gonna go with Linnae. I know like we're dealing with like half Celtic stuff and half French stuff, and I don't speak either of those languages. I really don't understand Gaelic, but we'll get there. Okay, Linnae is what we're gonna go with. There's no pronunciation guide in here either. I'm sure you could look these things up, and I probably will look these things up. Okay, Linnae. Aspect, honesty. Qualities, truthfulness, honor, healing, knowledge. Sometimes called La Damselle Sauvage or Lynette, this lady comes to court asking for help for her imprisoned sister Lyoners. The only available knight is Beaumain, who is actually Gareth, one of the 4 Orkney brothers, who has served anonymously for a year in the royal kitchens as a means of winning his spurs. Linnae mocks his chivalric inexperience unmercifully and refers to him as kitchen knave throughout the adventure. But slowly she comes to recognize his character and strength and finally to like him. When, in the end, he not only rescues Lyoners but marries her, Linnae blesses their union and is herself married to Gareth's brother Gaheris. Linnae's title, The Savage Damsel, suggests an older figure from the mythical roots of the Camelot stories. It seems to point not so much to her stringent nature as to the forest sauvage, a part of the land's adventurous, particularly noted for its dangerous ways. Though she seems angry, her outer aggressiveness hides a warm heart and deeply human nature. She is very wise and seeks to understand every aspect of the world around her. She also possesses some degree of magic, as well as healing skills. You may turn to her in matters of human wisdom and practicality. Linnaeus Champion. If you are determined enough to undertake an adventure in the great forest or in one of the mighty castles, I will guide you and see that you find what you seek. Though I am known for my sharp tongue and determination, this is but my way of showing that I will stand for no nonsense and that I approach everything I undertake practically and with assurance. If you seek a champion who will keep you on the right road and steer you away from foolishness, I am there for you whenever you need me. I am also a wise healer who can salve many kinds of wound. And again, I feel like this lines up really well with Freya. Like, they're calling her the damsel sauvage, or like the woman of the woods, and like Freya is the lady of the Vanir. Freya literally translates as lady. And she's of the Vanir, so she's like basically from the woods, or like from nature. She's like the nature lady among the Norse deities. And she's a healer, and she's a wise woman and a witch, and she taught Odin much of his magic and many of the secrets of the runes. And here where it says, like, though I'm known for my sharp tongue and determination and stand for no nonsense, I think of when, Thor's hammer was stolen, and he's just like, oh, okay, well, I'm sure Freya will be willing to marry Thrym just so that I can get my hammer back. And he's like, hey, okay, just so you know, Thrym needs you to marry him. And she's just like, get the fuck out of my house. How fucking dare you assume that I would just, like who do you think I am? That I would just marry some foul giant so you can get your fucking hammer back. Yeah, so I feel like this aligns. Okay, well, I can't choose between these 3. Like, I clearly have already chosen all 3 of these. Also interested that the card that I picked was the Honored Path for the Path card, because honor is like the first and the highest of the 9 noble virtues of the Norse pantheon, which is like what these guys are about here. Yeah, I don't know, working with that. So let's go back to, what was it, 110, how to use the book thing, 111. It's really page 111. Wow, okay. 111. 4. Place your archetype card in the Camelot position on the map to represent the place where you begin your journey. So, Camelot on the map, that's the middle one, and I'm gonna go ahead and put all 3 of these cards here. I'm gonna set this down, and then draw a second archetype card, whoops, and lay it on the place indicated by the path card you drew in step 2. This archetype will be the challenger whom you will encounter on your journey and who will require you to ask or answer questions connected with your issue. The honored path leads toward Saracen over here, which I showed you earlier, and so I guess I'm supposed to pick another archetype card to be my challenger at Saracen, or like somebody please tell me if I'm pronouncing these things wrong, because I really hate pronouncing things wrong, but when you learn things by reading, it happens. So yeah, you know, if you know how to say Saracen or Linnae or Ragnall or Amangons, like, please correct me. Send me a little video on Instagram or something. Okay, well, this one. Merlin is my fucking challenger. What the shit, man? Okay. Place it on the place, so place Merlin and Saracen. We're not going to do that because I want you to be able to see while I read about him. Look up the meaning, read the personal message from your champion, and select the question that corresponds to where the challenger is situated on the map. Each archetype card has all these different locations here, and these are the locations that are on the map, except outside of Camelot. And based on the card that you draw and the location on the map, so I would read for Saracen, which is here. So if I drew the Lady of the Lake, my challenger question would be, how often have you turned aside from this path? But we drew Merlin, so let's go to Merlin, and we'll see what we get. Aspect, seer, qualities, vision, insight, wisdom, truth, perception, magic. Merlin is the magus and guardian of the Pendragon line and of the island of Britain. Born in the depths of the forest to a virgin who was visited by a spirit, Merlin Emrys was discovered by Vortigern's men as the perfect sacrifice, whose blood would help seal the foundation of a crumbling tower. But Merlin told of an eternal battle between two dragons, which fought every night beneath the ground and caused the stones to tumble. He made prophecies about Britain and became the advisor of Ambrosius Aurelianus and his brother Uther, in the course of whose reign he magically built Stonehenge. Merlin was King Arthur's magical advisor for a short while only, after which he returned to the inner world to become the eternal guardian of Britain. Other accounts tell how he succumbed to the charms of Nimue, a nymph of the lake. Merlin remains the chief architect of the Dream of Camelot and the inner guardian of the land of Britain, which in early times was called Clas Merlin, Merlin's enclosure. The companionship and insight of Merlin are eagerly sought, but once attained, his power may sometimes be overwhelming. In times of extreme difficulty, when life seems to crumble around you, he can help you to find the courage and insightfulness you need by helping you to envision the goals you seek with greater clarity. Merlin challenges you to use your native wit and wisdom to perceive the true nature of the issue or test. I'm going to read Merlin as champion, even though I didn't draw him as champion. My path is a lonely one, yet I support you in your daily tasks and offer strength and wisdom to you when you are faced with challenges along the way. I lend my wisdom to help you understand the tides which drive all of our lives. Focus on me, for I will make you feel stronger and more perceptive. Draw upon your own wisdom when faced with a problem, but do not fail to listen to others. Consider all options open to you, even the most unlikely, and let your own radiance reflect the best way to proceed. It's also worth noticing that, like, I see Merlin also as, like, closely tied into an aspect of Odin, if not as basically, like, an incarnation of Odin. And so having, like, a dark side of him as one of my champions and the lighter, but still with darkness, side of him as challenger, that's interesting to me. This is hilarious. I just looked down Merlin as challenger for Saracen. The question is, what inspires you? And I've literally been talking about this on my morning lives. I almost wish I'd saved the videos from my morning lives to, like, insert the clips of me talking about this. But I talk all the time about how the wind, Odin, is, like, the inspiration, the wind beneath my wings, the inspiration that moves through me. Like, all these things are the same. These are all understandings of that force and that personality in the mythology. So that as I'm having this morning where I'm, like, contemplating this dark side of Odin, and also, like, the fact that the whole Ragnarok thing...
What was it? What was the thing? What did we talk about? trust. Ragnarok!
The whole reason that Ragnarok had to happen was because the old gods had broken their oaths and been untrue to their word, and essentially, like, the structure of reality was breaking down because of the dishonesty that was rampant and the deceit that was rampant in the world. And it's said that Odin's primary mission is staving off Ragnarok, but he's also one of the main deceivers that brings it about. And I don't know what that means, and I'm wrestling with that. But what I do know is that I totally believe that the same character would do all of these things. And I know that the experiences that I've had with this deity as guide and as inspiration and as in many different aspects have been life-changing in extremely positive ways, have been extremely moving and extremely moving mystical experiences that, like, I value this relationship that I have with this God so highly because it has brought so much beauty into my life, or so it seems to me. And I'm not really interested in, like, arguing or defending the veracity of that, like, all I'm saying is that I have experienced a high degree of added value in my life from having Odin and his many aspects be a part of it. And also, I am horrified at some of the things that he has done in the stories, as Bolverker or as Grimnir or whatever. But I also know that I aspire to be great and good and to do great good things. And I also know that I have done things that I'm horrified at. I know that I've manipulated my partners emotionally in the past, and sometimes I catch myself doing it today, and I really do try to, I realized that the thing that I just said to you was from a place of XYZ, and that what I really want is ABC, and, like, I want to fight against that programming, and let's meet together, and work together on reprogramming me and, hopefully us, because we both do these things. We both fall into temptation and I felt like I had a lamp on over there, and I was like, I don't even have a lamp. It's just this beautiful low sun shining right on my vision board. It's reflecting super bright. So what inspires you? Well, that's my question. We're going back to this instructions. And select the question that corresponds to where the challenger is situated on the map. Answering this question will help to deepen your understanding and enable an even more accurate oracle to arise from within. So the question was, what inspires me? And, well, I took that answer perhaps literally, and if you take apart the word inspire, it's like to breathe into. And so what breathes into me? And the best answer that I have to that on any given day lately might be my gods. Like, what else does breathe into me other than spirit? What else does move through me other than spirit? I don't know. I mean, water, air, but like I've said again in many of my morning lives, and will continue to do so, the air, the wind is a part of the conversation that I have with the world every day, all the time. And I also know that viewing that metaphorically and saying, oh, well, the wind, Ansu's, is what inspires me, but that's that's also an oversimplification of it. You could call that spiritual bypassing, perhaps, saying, oh, this is what I'm inspired by, just writing off this higher concept, and no, I'm really just describing to you the concept of inspiration and how I think it works. Well, as an actual helpful answer to that question, what inspires me? Sisterhood. Sisterhood inspires me. And by sisterhood, I mean what I've talked about in my videos with Xena, and our work together, and just some of my other videos where I've talked about this sort of thing, is women, and I'm seeing this more with some men as well, too, who are willing to step into this, but I see it more with women, and so I'll say that I am particularly inspired by the women because it's true. Women who are willing to risk supporting other women, just trusting that will have net positive effect and be the right thing to do, and then trusting that will come back to you in some form, and that you will have, that if you take the risk of supporting other sisters, that other sisters will take the risk of supporting you, and also, holding ourselves to high enough standards that we know that when other sisters support us, it's not a risk so much as it is a trusting and informed sacrifice, and you feel good about receiving their support because you know that what you're doing with that support is important and is working. That inspires me. That's the main thing that inspires me lately. Yeah. So I answered that question. 7. Now turn to the section about the place at which your challenger sits. And I'm putting Merlin over in Saracen. There, read the guidance paragraph that best suits your question. For example, if your question is about a work issue, read under Work and Creativity. What guidance does this offer you? The combination of meanings for the paths and places, the message of your champion, and the question posed by your challenger offer the guidance required for you to address your issue. Quite simply, the characters generate questions or challenges. The places and paths generate answers. Okay. Saracen. For the location, we've got, it says where you go, so east following the honored path. And then we've got an aspect and qualities again before this first paragraph that I'll read. And then we've got guidance, and it says general, work and creativity, love and relationships, well-being and inspiration. And then we've got this Saracen Meditation. So I'm just going to read this whole thing because I feel like my question, which isn't really what we've talked about so far, was how do I balance self-care and priestessing? I didn't word it that well, but I think I understand my question a little better now. And that's in many, many aspects. There are many manifestations of that duality in my life. So I'm going to try and, but I think that question is a work and creativity question. I think it is a love and relationships question. I think it is a well-being and inspiration question. So we're going to read all of those. Aspect, achievement, qualities, completion, transfiguration, accomplishment. Okay, cool. We'll think about that in a minute. Saracen is one of the most mysterious places mentioned in the medieval Grail romances. Sir Thomas Malory calls it the spiritual place, and it becomes the home not only of Galahad, Percival, and Bors at the end of their quest, but the earthly home of the Grail, which was enshrined there in a glorious temple. Its location, if indeed it has one, is said by some to be in Britain or perhaps offshore, making it, as we show it here, an island. Others suggest it was near Jerusalem, but this is certainly a medieval idea because so holy a spot must lie in the Holy Land and close to the Holy City. The suggestion that its name was the origin of Saracens, the medieval name for the Islamic peoples, is highly unlikely, and it seems even less likely that it would be the other way around. Saracen is sometimes described as a pagan city whose inhabitants worshipped the Roman god Mars. When Galahad and his companions arrived, they encountered a blind man at the gates who, when he touched Galahad, regained his sight. This demonstrates the medieval writer's desire to identify the pure Galahad with Christ. The rulers of Saracen weren't impressed by this miracle and imprisoned the knights, but soon afterwards their king died and they elected Galahad as their new overlord. He reigned for 2 years until his death. Saris remained a mysterious place and may perhaps best be seen as a state of being rather than a physical realm. To visit it is to enter a place where all things are possible, and in the context of the oracle, healing of both soul and psyche can take place there, and the answers to all mysteries be sought. And I don't know how many of you were there when we drew the Psyche card the other morning from my Chrysalis Tarot, who's like this beautiful rising butterfly woman. But that's like an image that I also have in my head for like what this rising into sisterhood looks like. Because it's in the Chrysalis Tarot, Psyche, who's this rising butterfly woman, is the world card. And this like greater perspective, yeah, the world. Anyhow, Psyche. Guidance. General. Sometimes we have to seek out possibilities in places where we wouldn't always expect to find them. But no matter how hard we have to struggle, we always have in our heart a sense that the path we're on is the right one and that we're destined to reach the goal ahead. Visualize that objective as clearly as you can and nurture it every day until it begins to come to fruition. So about like knowing what you want and visualizing your goal, I guess what I could take away from that would be helpful for my question would be, well, figure out, you know, what inspires you, what you want. And like, you know, I have already stated, I know that I want to do priestessing, and I know that I want to be, you know, giving of myself, and I also know that I want to be receiving from myself and the world around me the care that I need to keep priestessing, and to be happy while I'm doing it, and to feel fulfilled and taken care of. And so, I mean, obviously, the more that I contemplate that and figure, and also, you know, walk towards that, you know, I say, okay, I add this thing into my life and do this every day, and I find out, okay, maybe all this all the time is too much, and it's okay to have one day off. And maybe, you know, the only way that you figure that out is by doing too much for a while, and then the only way that you figure out that you're not doing enough is by not doing enough. And, okay, so that's fair. And then you adjust your visualization of what is the goal that you're aiming at, which is the star that you're wishing upon, which is also what Jordan Peterson is talking about in this Maps of Meaning series when he's dissecting Pinocchio and When You Wish Upon a Star. This is all, if you're on this journey with me, guys, I really recommend that you look into these lectures, because they're really changing my life, literally. Okay, work and creativity. When faced with setbacks or refused respect and acknowledgement in the workplace. Haven't I been talking about this? Mansplaining in the workplace? We turn to our own determination and self-awareness. Anger and resentment bring nothing but further hardship. It's so true. Instead, we should look outside the immediate situation to see a more general pattern within our lives. And so maybe part of that is knowing that, like, whatever I am able to do for others is enough. And that, like, I don't have to do everything for others, and I also don't have to do everything that for others that those others ask of me. And that doesn't mean that those others shouldn't ask it of me. And so, you know, if you need something from me, or you think you need something from me, please feel free to ask for it from me and express that need. And I will tell you whether or not that is a need that I can accommodate. And if I am able to, and it's not too detrimental to my own well-being and my own objective, I will probably be more than happy to fulfill that need for you. Likewise, if I can't, if it's too demanding of me and I can't give that of myself at this point in time, I will tell you that that's not something I can do. I may also try to guide you towards somewhere where you may be able to get that need fulfilled. And also, like, just because I can't give that to you at this time doesn't mean that I won't ever be able to help you with anything, or that I don't love you or care about you. And if all that I can do is pull a card for you 5 or 6 mornings a week, or maybe 7 mornings a week, you know, I'm not saying I'm going to take a day off every week. I do want to mostly do morning ritual every single day. Sorry, I feel like, can you tell that this is tugging at me that I skipped morning ritual today? But I also want it to be okay to not do it if it gets missed. And, you know, where do you set that balance without drawing a line? Because I don't want to draw any line, you know. I don't want to say, okay, we do it 6 days a week, or okay, we take a day off every so often, and this is how often it is. You know, I want it to be when it feels right, and I feel like that's how we roll here anyway, so why am I even telling this to you guys? Okay. Love and relationships. Love comes in many forms and is sometimes more than we can understand. Faced with challenges of misunderstanding or inappropriate behavior, look to the essential quality of love wherever and whenever it first appeared. Remember that love is always a divine gift, whether earthly or spiritual. I also realize that by loving myself and caring for myself and taking those moments of self-care, I am setting an example of self-care to anyone who's watching what I do. I'm willing to be an example of a modern spiritual woman in America, and I want to be a good example of a spiritual woman, witch person in modern America. I really want to be a good example, and I think that if I were not allowing myself the time that I need to do things, then I wouldn't, and to heal and to process and to sleep. Just to sleep? Like, how basic is that? You know, if I'm not doing those things, I'm not being a good example. And so I cannot possibly be an effective priestess without being an effective self-care taker. Bam. Well-being and inspiration. No matter how high the goals you have set yourself, there's always the right amount of time to reach them. Do not seek to rush or count the days and hours you have left, but accept the dignity of a life lived to the fullest and aspirations undertaken with wisdom and foresight. That's so funny, because that aligns perfectly with this almost like mantra that I've been repeating to myself, or saying to myself, or like holding in my heart, which is this idea that, like, you have time, or I have time. Like, there's no need for me to be freaking out, like, oh my god, I have all these high and lofty goals, like, I'm never gonna achieve them all, I don't have enough time. I mean, it's true. I do have more goals than I can achieve, because I'm an ambitious human, and hopefully I have more than 100 years worth of goals, but also, like, I have to work on them one at a time, and I know that I'm not going to achieve them all before I die, and so I have to prioritize and pick which ones. And so there's this balance of, like, you have time, but you don't know how much time you have, and it might not be very much. It also might be a lot, but it might not be very much. And so you want to plan for where, if you're around for a long time, you can be very productive for that whole long time. But also, if you're not around for very long, you've done the most important thing that you are qualified to do first. And hopefully, if you do the most important thing that you're qualified to do first, then you'll be qualified to do something greater, etc. Like they say on the airplane about the oxygen masks, put your own oxygen mask on first, then help your child. And that's not to say that your child is not more important than you, or that your child is not as important as you. It's to say that your child is not yet qualified to help you, but you are qualified to help your child, and you are qualified to help yourself. And your child is not in this scenario necessarily qualified to help themselves either. But you are definitely not qualified to help your child if you are unconscious, because you were trying to put your child's oxygen mask on, and then you went unconscious because you didn't have enough oxygen because you weren't wearing your oxygen mask yet. And that's a very literal example, but examples are literal. And that's a real example. That's valid. But essentially, I can't priestess to anyone else. I can't hold space for anyone else if I'm not standing on solid ground. If I'm not taken care of, I can't take care of anyone else because I just don't have the time or the capacity. Okay, Saracen Meditation. We're almost done here, guys, which is good because it's like there's almost no light. Approach the celestial city of Saras when the time feels right. Don't rush to get there, but accept your human limitations along with the highest aspirations you find within yourself. See the city like a crystal web seeming to hang in the air before you, rooted not wholly in this world but partly in another. Within the city are shining halls thronged with the seekers who have gone before. Whether Galahad or Percival, Bors or Dindrain, let them seek you out in their own time, or exchange word of the highest resolve with others who have trodden this way. Always keep your vision before you, and if you are drawn there, enter the deepest heart of the city, where all things become one and the journey is truly acknowledged and understood. Here you may enshrine your vision forever. Wow. Okay, so I feel like we've had enough conversation about my question. I feel like we've discussed that, so I just want to say some final things about the deck and the book and stuff. This book has, so after all the instructions that we followed and looked through, it says in-depth readings. If you feel that the simple answer is not detailed enough and wish to extend the reading, you can develop it as follows. And there's this thing called jousting again that I'm not going to read through all these right now. Mirror paths, council of peers. These all sound really, I'm going to have to really read these. And then they include a sample reading, which goes from here to here. Meditating with the cards is here. Notes on meditation. And there's like step by step. That's almost that whole page and this page. And then there's journeys, meditative scenarios for journeying. And it's something about the round table. And I think these are, oh my god, this is like actual, oh my god, there's like scenarios for shamanic journeys and like guided meditations in here. There's the Chapel of the Grail, the Island of Dreams, the Round Table. Oh my god. I cannot wait to work with this. Oh, dude, okay, I didn't even notice this. Apparently there's also the paths here. I guess we should read that. The Honored Path is 84. I feel like the instructions didn't tell me to read about my path, so I just assumed they weren't in here. Okay, they're really short entries, so each path has just a little paragraph, which is perfect, because that's about how much time we have. The Honored Path, east, leading to Saras, symbol, a floating flame. The Honored Path, which is kind of like a star. The Honored Path leads to Saras because it reflects the honored status of people who have striven throughout their lives, doing their best to help others and to share their view of the world with everyone they meet. That sounds like what I'm trying to do. I hope that's what I'm doing. It is also a place where you can discover for yourself the true nature of honor. It offers strength and the potential of fulfillment to those who follow it, pointing the way to the home of the Grail in its most glorious aspect. Go there when you are nearing the end of your journey and perhaps need a last burst of energy to help you make the final step forward. Okay. This is super cool. I feel I've gotten so much out of this reading. I hope you guys have gotten a lot out of watching this super long video. I've had requests on some of my like older, I have like 2 really old deck unboxings, I think, on this channel. And I had someone ask me like, oh, well, how do you like those decks now? And the truth is one of them I like hardly even work with. In fact, I maybe even gave it to Ella. And yeah, and like, I don't know, I haven't really examined these things in thought. Like I have decks that I use and then I have decks that I've kind of drifted away from. And I feel like when I do, especially on these morning rituals with you guys, I've been using decks that I don't use so often, and I've been really appreciating them and the wisdom that they have to offer and the way that I work with them. And so would you guys be interested in me doing another review of this deck, or say of the Moon deck, like 2 or 3 months down the line after having worked with it a few times, and talk about like how I feel about it later? Or do you feel like this is enough? let me know, because I know I also have like other decks that I'm going to be doing, but I want to know, are there other people who want updates on the decks that I've unboxed previously? If I have, like, if you know of any decks that I have that you would want me to review, let me know about that. Maybe I'll make a deck collection video. Let me know if that sounds like a good idea. Also, guys, like, I throw out all these ideas for videos, and they're all videos that I want to make. And I can't make them all, and I can't make, or like, might be able to make them all eventually, but I can't make them all, like, right now. And so, what ends up happening is, like, if you message me that you want a particular video, that video will get made sooner than a video that if you just hear about it or think about it and you're like, oh, that would be nice, and you don't message me or you don't tell me, then, like, I don't know that you want it. And I try to make videos that you guys want as well as that are fun for me to make. So I try to compromise and, like, well, not even compromise, like, I try to come up with things that satisfy both what's fun for me to make and what's worth your time to watch. And so, please do tell me the sort of things that you think would be worth your time to watch from me, and those are the videos that I will make first. Those are the videos that I will prioritize. I love you guys so much. Thank you for being here with me. I'm really, really excited to unpack this, to integrate the lessons that we just unpacked from this reading, and to, like, continue to unpack and sleep on those things and see where that goes. As always, if you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments below and what sort of videos you'd like next and what other questions you have, blah, 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 blah. And you can check out some of my other videos here if they call to you and sound like the sort of thing that might interest you about now. I'm rambling, but I love you guys so much, and I'll see you very, very soon. Love you.